Tommy Oliver, Green Ranger. Before Tommy became the most legendary ranger in the franchise, he was the one the original team had every reason to fear. He did not arrive as a new friend, a backup hero, or a normal sixth member. He entered the story as Rita Repulsa's weapon, chosen specifically because he could hurt the Rangers from the inside. With the Dragon Power Coin, the Dragon Dagger, and the Dragon Zord, Tommy had enough power to challenge the entire team alone. What made him dangerous was not only strength, but timing. He knew how to strike when the Rangers were confused, separated, or emotionally shaken. That changed the way the team saw him even after he was freed from Rita's control. Tommy became loyal, brave, and eventually one of their greatest allies. But the memory of what he had done did not disappear overnight. His presence carried a different weight because everyone had already seen what his powers could become in the wrong hands. The Green Ranger was fast, aggressive, unpredictable, and connected to one of the most powerful Zords of that era. His story worked because the fear came before the trust. The team did not welcome him because he was safe, they accepted him because he proved he could turn that same dangerous power toward protecting them. Ryan Mitchell, Titanium Ranger. Ryan's danger came from something more personal than simple mind control. He was Captain Mitchell's lost son, taken by Diabolico as a child, and raised away from the family he should have known. When he returned, he did not come back as a rescued victim. He came back angry, powerful, and carrying the Titanium Morpher, a ranger power that did not belong to the main Lightspeed team. His first battles were not about teamwork or trust. They were about proving that he could stand above the people his father had chosen. To the Lightspeed Rangers, Ryan was not just another enemy in armor, he was someone connected to their own command center, their own history, and their own leader. That made him harder to face. Fighting Ryan meant fighting someone who should have been family, but who had been shaped into a weapon by the enemy. The Titanium Ranger was also different because his powers were not part of the usual Sentai-based team structure, making him feel separate from the others from the start. Even after he began to turn back toward the good side, the danger around him did not end immediately. Diabolico placed a Cobra curse on him, making every morph bring him closer to death. Ryan's story carried fear in two directions. The team feared what he could do against them, and later they feared what using his own power could do to him. Merrick Baliton, Lunar Wolf Ranger. Merrick was feared before the team ever truly knew who he was. Long before he became the Lunar Wolf Ranger, he had been trapped inside the identity of Zenaku, a warrior with a presence that felt older and darker than the threats the Wild Force Rangers usually faced. He did not fight like a normal monster of the week. He studied them, countered them, and carried himself like someone who had already won before the battle started. His connection to the Wild Zords made him even more unsettling, because he was not just attacking the Rangers from the outside, he understood the same ancient power that gave them strength, and he could twist that world against them. The fear around Merrick came from the fact that there was a real person buried underneath the curse. The team was not only trying to defeat Zenaku, they were slowly realizing there was a Ranger-level warrior inside him who had once made a desperate sacrifice. That made every fight more complicated. If they destroyed him, they might destroy the man he used to be. If they held back, he could destroy them first. When Merrick was finally freed and became the Lunar Wolf Ranger, he still carried the shadow of Zenaku with him. His power felt useful, but never ordinary, because the team had already seen how dangerous that same strength could become when controlled by darkness. Trent Mercer, White Dino Ranger. Trent did not become frightening because he wanted power. The White Dino Gem chose him in a way that felt almost like a trap, giving him one of the strongest abilities in Dino Thunder, while also pulling him into a darker version of himself. When he first appeared as the White Dino Ranger, he was not a new teammate the others could celebrate. He was fast, precise, and cold, attacking with a level of skill that made the Dino Rangers look unprepared. His Super Dino mode, sharp weapon style, and connection to the Dragazord made him feel like a ranger built to overpower other rangers, not fight beside them. What made Trent different was the split between the person he was and the ranger he became under the gem's influence. Outside the suit, he could be quiet, unsure, and conflicted. Inside the suit, he became a serious threat who could turn a normal fight into a crisis almost instantly. The team could not treat him like a regular enemy because part of them knew Trent might still be saved. At the same time, they could not fully trust him because the White Ranger powers had already shown how quickly they could take control. His fear factor came from that instability. No one knew if the person standing in front of them was Trent or the dangerous force the gem had awakened. Dillon, RPM Black Ranger. Dillon carried the kind of threat the RPM Rangers could not easily separate from the person they were trying to trust. When he arrived in Corinth, he had no clear past, no full memory of who he was, and strange Venjix technology inside his body. That alone made him dangerous in a world where machines had already destroyed most of civilization. The team needed strong fighters, and Dillon proved he could survive in situations that would break most people. But every time his cybernetic side appeared, it reminded them that he was connected to the same enemy they were fighting. He was not just a new ranger with a mysterious background. He was a possible doorway for Venjix to reach them. The fear around Dillon was quiet but constant. He was not attacking the team like Tommy or Ryan did at first, yet the risk was always there beneath the surface. If the virus inside him took over, the Black Ranger could become a weapon inside the last human city. That made his place on the team tense, because trusting him was both necessary and dangerous. His strength, speed, and durability made him valuable in battle, but those same traits made the danger worse if he ever lost control. Dillon's story worked because the team was not only afraid of what he might do to them, they were afraid that one of their strongest allies might already belong partly to Venjix. Leanbow, Korag, Wolf Warrior. Leanbow's story begins with the fear of a warrior the Mystic Force Rangers could not fully understand. As Korag, he was not a chaotic villain or a simple servant of evil. He fought with discipline, honor, and a level of control that made him feel more like a dark knight than a monster. That made him harder to predict because he did not always act like the other enemies. Sometimes he attacked with brutal force, and other times he held back because of his own warrior code. To the Rangers, that was unsettling. He was clearly dangerous, but there was always something strange beneath the armor, as if the person inside was fighting a battle no one else could see. The truth made him even more important. Leanbow was not born evil. He had once been a heroic warrior who sacrificed himself to protect the magical world. His transformation into Korag turned that same heroic strength into one of the Rangers' greatest threats. When the team discovered who he really was, the fear changed shape. He was no longer just an enemy they had to defeat, but a fallen protector they had to bring back. As the Wolf Warrior, Leanbow became an ally, but his earlier battles left a clear mark. The Mystic Force Rangers had already seen what his power looked like when it stood against them, and that made his return feel powerful, but never ordinary. Anubis Krueger, Shadow Ranger. Anubis Krueger was not feared because he turned against his team. His fear came from something colder and more controlled. Everyone around him understood that he was holding back most of the time. As the commander of SPD's B Squad, Krueger was strict, quiet, and almost impossible to impress. He trained the younger Rangers, gave orders from the base, and carried the weight of a war they had only heard pieces of. To them, he was not just a mentor. He was a living reminder that the fight against evil had existed long before they became Rangers. His past with the planet Sirius, his hatred for Benag, and his history with Emperor Groom made him feel like someone who had already lost too much to be afraid of anything. That made him intimidating even before he morphed, because the team could sense that their commander was not simply a leader behind a desk. He was a warrior who had survived battles far beyond their level. When Krueger finally became the Shadow Ranger, the team saw the full scale of what he had been keeping under control. His fighting style was direct, disciplined, and brutal without being reckless. He did not move like a young ranger trying to prove himself. He moved like someone ending a fight as quickly as possible. The Shadow Saber made him even more dangerous because it matched his personality, precise, sharp, and unforgiving. What separated Krueger from the others on this list is that his own team did not fear him as a possible traitor. They feared the gap between him and everyone else. He was the kind of ranger who could walk into a battle alone and change the entire outcome, which made the B Squad respect him in a way that almost looked like fear. Krueger's presence reminded them that being a Power Ranger was not just about color, weapons, or Zords. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far, you already know what to do.